What if I told you that the US military just spent $700 million because they don't trust AI to think for itself? This week's a massive Project Maven investment exposed a fundamental flaw in how we approach artificial intelligence. I'm about to show you why this could be the most expensive mistake in AI history and what it means for the future of technology. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. And this is AI Capitalist, where I talk to leaders and to thinkers about how the brave new world of machine intelligence is affecting the world around us and how we navigate it. Recently, the US government dropped a cool $700 million to boost a military intelligence program called Maven. The whole point was to whip up enough high-quality data sets to help train AI to figure out if something that it's seeing is friendly or hostile in a combat environment using various military intelligence sources like satellites and aircraft images. The cash is mostly for manually labeling. Basically, they have to hire people to come in and identify what's in those images, like is it tank movements or is it other important military maneuvers. The hefty investment really highlights something that we've known for a while. There's just not enough good data out there for training machine learning models. And today's machine learning needs tons of data, and the lack of quality inputs has held back progress in the field. The Maven project is one of two common ways to tackle this data shortage, by creating new data sets. The other option is making models more efficient so that they can get by and get reasonable answers with less data. But we haven't even considered letting AI create its own ground truth data sets by labeling images like humans do. That job is reserved for researchers who can gather, clean, and structure the data before running it through a statistical analysis. AIs aren't trusted to sift through images and build their own version of the truth. This idea of letting AI decide what its own truth is sounds kind of wild and a bit troubling, because we humans generally think that we're the gold standard when it comes to laying down what is truth. Whenever there's a decision about what goes into a data set, we doubt that AI can handle picking which samples to make the cut without some human input first. AI can make conclusions based on our groundwork, but when it comes down to it, humans always end up making the final call. If something goes wrong with how an AI performs, that falls on us to straighten it out. This whole setup leaves AI pretty dependent on human direction. If an AI said that it could establish its own data sets, it might start to sound like it deserves some human rights too, which opens up a whole can of worms, because right now we're pretty happy just teaching our truths to AI, treating it like an employee in training. Like any technology, our goal is to create digital helpers that will think like us. The push for labeled data sets shows that we're going to pass our own wisdom on to AI in neat little packages. But honestly, do we ever stop to question where that wisdom comes from or how it was developed in the first place? This oversight isn't small. The folks who define data sets essentially shape the results, and that's a major talking point in the ongoing debates about data bias. Despite what some people say, numbers can actually lie, and statistics have gotten a bad rap lately for being influenced by the choices made when gathering the initial data. You can see my video on polling mistakes and polling errors and response bias to learn more about that. But deciding which images count as suspicious enemy behavior needs to be clear in the data set. Those early calls are going to affect all the statistics that we cover later on from the results. So why can't AI just make these calls on its own? What's stopping it from creating its own data sets? Sure, humans have way more life experience than AI, since we're out and about in the real world, chatting and referencing events AI doesn't know anything about. One alternative could be moving towards using free-ranging reinforcement learning agents instead of fixed supervised data sets. Reinforced learning might let agents gather their own data by exploring their environment, although nobody's really dug deep into that idea yet. Key question is how an AI figures out its own ground truth. And that comes down to how reinforcement learning style agents generate solid information. Creating ground truth is all about picking out what matters, filtering out the irrelevant stuff, and organizing raw experiences. The shift from exploration to clear, defined truth is what we're really discussing here. Is it totally crazy to think that we could trust AI to tell if an image shows a friend or a foe? All the data must be there waiting to be organized somehow, and if we assume that ground truth just comes straight out of the data, then the data alone should determine the results. Under this assumption, a data set either includes every experience an agent has, like reinforcement learning, or just a selected few, like in a supervised model, is pretty much the same. All that's needed for an agent to create its own data sets is a physical presence and a way to transform the data. But hang on, is that really true? There seems to be more to a data set than just a collection of experiences. The selection process is complicated. Dumping tons of raw data into a model and hoping that it figures itself out isn't a feasible approach. Otherwise, we wouldn't be spending millions on doing it manually. A data set is straightforwardly an opinion, like what's friend or foe, and this opinion can drastically change depending on whom you ask and when. is definitely not neutral, and there's a strong link between how we define those concepts and the moral questions surrounding it. And if you feel that you're getting value from this video, I would appreciate it if you would push the like button. Lets me know I'm making content you want to see and spreads it to others. So thank you for supporting this channel.